Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Tom, covering for Az for your Thursday Q&A. Az is on holiday this week, but we are still, as always, joined by Sam. Sam, how's your week? Enjoying the free hit tinkering?
I've got a sort of free hit fear, I think, Tom. I think that's the best way I'd describe it. Like last year, the free hit, my chips of this year have been dreadful. I played my bench boost last week. It was dreadful. And Wan-Bissaka kind of sums that up, I think.
Same, by the way.
Yeah, my triple captain didn't go well earlier on in the season. So now I'm in the place where I'm like, right, okay, free hit time. Last season it went terribly because I played it in that week that like everyone played it, and it just tanked, didn't it? And I'd have been better off to have the 5 players that I had in my team that week. But it was different because we only had like a few players to choose from, and it felt hard to create an 11 because there weren't so many options. Whereas this time around, it feels hard to create an 11 because one, there just doesn't appear to be any budget restrictions because there's no premiums to have. So you can have whoever you want. And on my draft, I've got like 5 million in the bank, which is bonkers. But it also means that I've created a 15 who I don't know who to bench because they're all really good options. Plus there's probably a good 5 or 6 other players that I'd actually really like that I can't fit in. So it's like just a constant headache, I think, the free hit. And I've got a bit of the fear that you could easily pick the wrong players, couldn't you? But for the right reasons, pick the wrong ones, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky, but I think most of the team picks itself, to be honest.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so. You've got
I'm not
you've
sure.
got Salah.
Okay, that's 1.
Nori.
K2.
Cunha.
Yeah,
Isak.
3. 4.
A Newcastle defender.
Yeah, but that in itself is going to be contentious because you're going to have Pope, who people will go to because I actually think the goalie situation is more difficult with Jose Sarr. You've got then the choice between like Livramento, Shah, Trippier. And like that in itself feels like a difficult decision, doesn't it? Because you could easily, one of them probably gets an attacking return. It's just which one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Trippier's the best one on corners, personally.
Do you?
Yeah.
I've not gone Trippier.
I did have Trippier, but I swapped it around to Pope. But anyway, we will get going with the questions. This is, of course, the Q&A, so drop your questions in the chat and we'll get through them. First question is from Arian, who asks, he says triple captain Salah against Spurs is solid, so that's his question element, but more generally, how are you feeling on Spurs going to Anfield for the title coronation, which could actually be quite fun in your household?
Is that like a serious question? How am I feeling about it?
Are you watching it with Lee or not?
Yeah. So we earlier on in the season, we sort of agreed after the Spurs-Liverpool game earlier on in the season that we weren't going to watch Spurs-Liverpool together anymore because it got rather heated in our that game because it was stupid and he wasn't, I felt, in my humble opinion, that he wasn't being very respectful. Keep talking about my
he
team.
Celebrated the goals.
Well, no, I don't mind that. Like we've never had an issue with that. Like your team score, you celebrate. That's fine. Like no drama there. I had issues with the fact that he kept making comments about my team. I was like, I'm not commenting on your team. You don't comment on mine. Like if you think that player's playing badly, I don't just zip it. Anyway, so we agreed at that point that we weren't going to watch any more together. Except the thing is that realistically, we'll end up watching this one together because neither of us, unless I go and watch it with my mum, which I could do, but I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. We did agree last night that given that now they only need a draw, that it could be a draw. That we've agreed. So that's what's going to happen now. It's going to be a draw.
Are you definitely captaining Salah?
No.
No,
I'm not. I might, but I'm quite 50-50 on it. So like, obviously there's a lot of upside to Salah, but no goals in open play in 9 games. Like the form isn't really there. The momentum is there in terms of like the motivation is clear. You can win the Premier League title at home in front of a full Anfield. The last time you won the trophy, it wasn't a full Anfield, and you couldn't celebrate with your fans. So, like, Salah has the pedigree over the course of the season, plus the biggest motivation in the game week. So that makes him one of the best captaincy options, absolutely. Regardless of who it was against, even if it was against Arsenal, I'd still think that he is a captaincy contender. Or you've got the flip of that, which is, do I go for one of the players that's playing the best fixture of the week, i.e. Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester, particularly Leicester, but, you know. So do I go for an Isak or a Murphy or somebody along those lines? Do you go for maybe a Cunha? So there's those kind of conversations. But then there's the other part of me that goes, maybe this is the opportunity to pick a differential captain. Maybe this is the moment where I could go differently. And then I look at Salah and go, don't be stupid, just captain Salah. It's going to win the league. I don't think it's easy.
Isak is different, but also good.
So for me, it's a choice between those two. Cunha's there. Cunha's the kind of devil on my shoulder. Oh, I've just thrown mini eggs everywhere. Cunha is the devil on my shoulder wants to give it to Cunha because I just think that feels fun. But then the sensible FPL manager in me says you pick between the player with the biggest motivation and the player with the best fixture. So Salah versus Isak.
Yeah. I agree with Derek, who says Spurs are the perfect team for Salah to get returns against. Because we saw, what did he get earlier in the season? Was it 16 or 17?
What, in the game between Spurs and Liverpool?
Yeah.
It was a stupid game. Game of football.
Pretty much everyone returns. He could easily, like, I said to Harry on Burning Questions, I think it could be like 5-1 or something.
I don't think they'll clean sheet against us.
And that's why I gave you one.
Yeah, which I think, thanks. Which I think, like we were having this conversation on the pod this morning, like, if you want to go for Trent, fine. But I wouldn't go for another Liverpool defender because I don't know that the clean sheet will be there. I mean, maybe Virgil gets an attack in return, but I think on a free hit, you've got better defensive options outside of the Liverpool ones who are more likely to keep a clean sheet and get an attack in return, i.e. one of the Newcastle defenders, Aït-Nouri, Cucurella, I think is up there as well. You'll enjoy me saying that.
By goal threat as well.
Exactly. And so I think that they've got two levels of upside, the clean sheet, but also the attacking threat. Whereas I think we're outside of Trent and the fact that the Trent Bradley thing is a little bit up in the air. Like, does Trent get the start? Does Trent not get the start? What happens there? What happens on the other side of the pitch with Robertson and Tsimikas? I'm just going to stay away from the Liverpool defence. But
do you think Trent will start? I think he will.
I think he probably will, yes. But I think that there is... Because there are three other options in a Newcastle defender. So in my case, I've got Shaw, Aït-Nouri, and I want to play Cucurella. But then there's also Sessegnon. Like, because of them, I look at Trent and I'm like, can I risk that? Like, because there's no way he doesn't get any minutes. So if he doesn't start, he's going to come on for like 20. So it's not like I'm going to get then the points of one of those other guys off the bench, you know? So I'm a bit torn on the Trent thing. I think he starts. I'm fairly comfortable with the fact that he's going to start. But there is just that little element of doubt with Conor Bradley sitting there, depending upon what's going to happen next season, right? Because if Trent is going to go, which... I mean, last week's celebration didn't look like a man that was leaving the club, but all the stuff in the press suggests that he's going to. I thought he looked like
a man who was a bit annoyed he got criticism and was having a final moment. I didn't really understand how that shows he's not leaving.
I don't know. I thought
that he was leaving.
I just sort of like, right, run back off, you know? Like, it did for me. That felt like a man that was like, here I am. Don't. Like,
I thought it just meant give me a bit of respect. And I've just scored the goal that's going to win us the league, to be honest.
I didn't. I had the like, and it was obviously I was watching it with Lee. We both were like, that's a weird celebration for somebody that's leaving. Weirdly passionate.
But he also got booed as well, so I think he was probably a bit fired up.
Yeah, maybe. But I think, like, if he is going, because this is the other side of this, right? They're going to win the league on Sunday because they're going to get at least a point. I mean, I think they get all 3 points, but that's beside the point. If he is going, which we all think is what's happening, then Connor Bradley is his replacement. So does Slot?
Yeah, but not until after Spurs, though. I don't think.
I don't know though, Tom, because Connor Bradley's been playing well.
He did, but I also thought if you put Trent in the positions that Bradley got into, because I owned Bradley on my bench boost, so I was watching him like hyper fixating on him, and he got into so many good positions in the box, and then kind of just looked a bit like a rabbit in the headlights. Like there was one time he got through and he could have shot, and he just kind of left the ball behind. I think Trent will start and play, and win them the league, and then probably not start after that.
I don't know. I also don't know if Trent's got has he got 60 minutes? Because Slot was very clear. The good thing about Slot is he's very honest. So in press conferences, he is honest. And before that game, he said Trent's got 20 minutes, and that's what happened. So in the presser tomorrow, I would expect some honesty from Slot around that. Like, he's not obviously going to tell us whether Trent's staying or going, but he will tell us about his availability of minutes at the weekend. So if he's not able to play more than 60 minutes, then he won't start him.
Yeah.
If he says he's got 45 in him, then I don't think he starts. I think he'll start Bradley.
No, it's fair enough. Cool. Moving on from FPL Yellow Army, would you pick Jimenez or Evan Nielsen on a free hit?
I like both of these.
I think Jimenez without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, the Munez out thing means he's a starter. The bigger question for me is where's that slot for one of them coming from? Because Cunha
it's the Wood. For me, yeah, I've got a similar slot. Cunha, Isak, and then it's like Wood, Jimenez,
Evan Nielsen.
Welbeck. I think Welbeck's arguably
without
better
João
than
Pedro.
Evan Nielsen. Yeah.
Do you? See, I don't.
I just think Evan Nielsen's not that consistent, is he?
Oh, I don't know. I
and
think
Bournemouth
Evan
are
Nielsen...
actually quite a poor football team now. Like
but
they
Tom,
haven't won in about 8 games, have they?
Without being funny, like they're coming up against Man United, who really don't care. Like they don't care. Do they want to go to Bournemouth? They don't care. All their focus is on Thursday night, the same as Spurs.
Yeah, but they've just had a week off. I don't think the Europa League comes into it that much. Not this weekend. Not this weekend. I get mad.
Oh, it does. Of course it does. Like that's all Man United and Spurs are going to be focused on. They don't care about this weekend. They don't care whether they finish 14th, 15th, 16th or 17th.
Yeah, but it's about rhythm, isn't it? Like they're not going to want to go 10 days without a football match.
But I'm not talking about them not playing. I'm talking about them not caring.
I think they will. I think you're being a little bit too Europa focused there. Next weekend, 100%. But this weekend, they've just had a week off. Like he rested Bruno last week, so presumably Bruno will come back in, and I just think
I just don't think they care. They're literally going to use that for minutes. It's just training minutes. That's it.
Yeah, but they don't care. But you battered Forest on Monday night.
Amaron came out and said that he's going to have to play the kids in the league because the full focus is on Europa League.
And then he played one.
Well, he dropped Bruno though, didn't he?
True, but I don't think he'll do it again. I think he will next weekend. But also, okay, so Evan Nielsen though.
The point is, I think that Bournemouth will win that game.
No,
and I think Evan Nielsen will score. That's the point I'm making. Is I don't think Manchester United care. That is a hell of a journey from Manchester down to Bournemouth. I don't think they're that bothered.
Playing, Sam.
I don't think they're bothered, Tom. They're going to get down there. I just think that, like, the Bournemouth are a team that I've got one asset in my free hit at the moment, and you know when before we
isn't it?
No, it's not. And it is. And before we came live, you said, have you still got Cole Palmer? And I said, I'm in an iron. And the reason I'm in an iron is because I think I'd rather have Clivert. Or do I take Chris Wood out and have Evan Nielsen? Because I genuinely think that, a bit like with Liverpool, but obviously different because Liverpool are different. But I just don't think that the Spurs and Manchester United teams care.
Yeah, I take that on board, but at the same time, like you did batter Forest on Monday night.
We still
Not
lost.
caring. You really shouldn't have lost that game.
Well, that's.
But would you? So I think I'd be more inclined to just play a 3-5-2 and get Cliver instead.
What, over having Evan Nelson?
Yeah. Penalties. More
Yeah, I
points
don't
for a
hate that.
midfielder.
I definitely don't hate that because I do like the Clivert pick. But I think if you want to play three up top, then if you only play two up top, then you are going to miss out on the likes of Wood or Jimenez or Welbeck. Like that, and they feel like the decisive ones for the game week. Like it feels like one of them is probably going to be. Maybe it's two, but it feels
Who's in
like
your
that
team
will
at
be
the minute?
Wood.
Yeah, same.
Because he's clinical. Like it gets one chance and he scores it.
And let's
And they
not
will
lie,
create.
the fact having something on the Thursday is also a factor.
Do you know? I actually didn't know that their game. I'd completely forgotten that their game was on Thursday night until I was looking at the fixtures and prepping for the pod last night, and I was like, "Oh, actually, that's quite nice
Yeah,
having
it is nice.
having a player
It
left."
shouldn't matter, but it does.
But it weirdly does because it helps mentally if you're not having the best game week. You go, but at least I've got Chris Wood to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick is asking, he's not on a free hit, so would you buy Visser, Cunha, or Wood? I'd probably buy Visser. Because I think with Cunha, I think it worries him. I think it's possible he may not even start this weekend if Manetzi's back fit. Because it's just because he comes back from injury, right? And Vitor Pereira says we're not going to change the winning team.
Yeah.
And then he only started the last game because Manetzi was injured. And if he's going to leave, it's like what you said about Trent. What's the point in playing him? He probably will start this week, but I think now till the end of the season, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Whereas Visser just plays 90 and his underlying numbers are really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, doesn't it? Because on a free hit, I think Cunha is a far better pick than Wisser is. But you're right, in terms of the long term, Brentford's fixtures between now and the end of the season are really good. And actually, Forest's defensive numbers have massively dipped lately. Like their regularity for conceding goals is just edging closer. And I think that Brentford, they don't often keep clean sheets, but they do often score goals, and they can score a number of goals at any given time. And I mean, you're right about what you said. I obviously was at the Forest game on Monday night, and Forest they gave up a lot of opportunities. Let's put it that way. And if my players could hit a barn door, things would be a bit different. But they were peppering balls all over the south stand and all over the north stand, and it was just like, oh boys, come on now. So I think there'll be plenty of opportunities, and it would not surprise me to see Brentford get something from that game, particularly with Mboma and with Wisser. So yeah, I can see that. I think long term, the reality is though, I think all three of those are really nice picks for this week and beyond. All right, you might get a little bit of rotation out of Cunha. I don't think you will. I don't think Wolves are in a luxurious position where they can
they won 4 games without him.
They did, but I also think that, he is their best player. And do you just leave him sat on the bench for the next few weeks?
Well, you could say the same about Trent, couldn't you?
Is he he's not their best player.
Well,
Salah's
he's
their best
definitely
player.
in their best team.
Yeah, but the difference is that there's a ready-made replacement for Trent at Liverpool already. That they've got Bradley, who will be that player for them next season. So why not give him that chance to do that when it means nothing? Whereas at Wolves, if they sell Cunha, is Strand Larsen going to be that? I doubt it. Like they'll go and replace him, won't they? Or they'll try and replace him with somebody else.
Yeah.
I guess that's the difference.
So for Nick, who would you buy? I'd buy Visser.
Yeah, I think probably I agree with you but I do like Wood. But the trouble with Wood is it sort of feels like it's going to be one return here and there, like one return every week. Whereas Wisser has more upside, maybe.
Yeah. Are you worried Wood will not play 120 minutes in the Cup? I mean, it's a slight consideration, but the thing is, everyone's going to have a great first sub anyway, so...
Well, exactly. And also, yeah, all right, he might play 120 minutes in the cup, but he also might play 90 and it might be done.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. It's one of those things, isn't it, where any player that you have after they've played another game, and we have it fairly regularly in FPL, that in double game weeks there's other things going on. We had it earlier on in the season, didn't we, with the Champions League games sitting in between the middle of a double. Like, it's a risk you take, and I think normally you risk it if your bench is able to cover it. And on this free hit, as we said at the beginning, because money's not an object, if the worst case scenario happens and Chris Wood, I don't know, injures himself in the FA Cup and doesn't play on that Thursday, well, you're definitely going to have a decent fifth midfielder who can come in instead. So to me, that's
And he's not going to be
not
benched,
a concern.
is he? Like,
No, he won't bench
going
him.
for Champions League, not going to be benched.
It's too important. The league position is too tight, so they've not got the luxury of being able to just bench players like that. They're going to have to play.
Yeah. Question from N: is Kirkes being overlooked, or are there 3 other defenders you consider to be ahead in the pecking order? I think exactly that. I think there's probably 5 or 6 defenders I prefer. And Kirkes' data is not actually that good. I think he's slightly overhyped as a pick.
So he's in my picks. He's my 5th pick at the moment. My top 3, Aït-Nouri was my first pick. I just think he's too good an opportunity to turn down, even though Aït-Nouri and I have a bit of a love-hate relationship where he massively let me down.
He's not
earlier
going
on
to
in the
get any
season.
points this weekend. He never gets points against easy teams. He seems to score against Liverpool and Spurs and United. And
Yeah, and when we all expect him to do really well, he gets sent off and gets 0-0 like he did earlier on in the season. But anyway, nonetheless, I'm going to go and have Aït-Nouri back again. He seems to be able to do anything, and I'll forgive him and bring him back into the fold. So there we go. I think a Fulham defender. Now, whether you want to go for the Fulham goalie and cover it that way with Leno, or whether you want to go for Sessegnon and cover it that way, that's fine. Obviously Newcastle, and again, I think that's the choice, isn't it? You either go for a Fulham defender and a Newcastle goalie, or you go for the Fulham goalie and the Newcastle defender. I think it's up to you. And then I like Cucurella as my third, and therefore I'm struggling to fit Kirkes in. I mean, he's going to be on my bench, and I think he's a really good pick for this week. I just can't play more than 3 defenders.
if you've got money in the bank, why is Trent not on your bench?
Because I don't think they'll clean sheet.
Fair enough.
And I think all 5 defenders that I have will clean sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, tricky. What do you mention Sessegnon there? What do you think about him? Now, Marco Silva's just said that Harry Wilson could start or he could be on the bench. I mean, that's not exactly a revelation. We know he could start or be on the bench, but he also said Sessegnon is playing well.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty, isn't it? So in my current free hit draft, I have got Leno in goal and Sessegnon on the bench while I wait for news on Jose Sarr. I think my issue a little bit is that Sessegnon has been incredible. Like, the underlying numbers are great, the performances in the eye test are being passed. But obviously we saw the return of Harry Wilson last week, and I do think that will have an impact on his minutes moving forward. So if you're not free hitting this week, I wouldn't recommend buying Sessegnon this week, because I think longer term he's going to be a player that the minutes won't necessarily be great because of Wilson coming back. On a free hit, though, I think you can take that risk. I do think that there is a chance that Harry Wilson gets the start, but my suspicion is that Sessegnon gets the start and Wilson comes on around the 60-minute mark, and you just have to hope that Sessegnon's got the clean sheet and an attacking return locked in before then.
Yeah, there's a few ifs and buts there. Yeah, he's in my team at the minute, but I'm getting a little bit edgy. The safe bet is to go
Robinson instead.
I wouldn't go Robinson. I think I'm picking Sessegnon because he's Sessegnon. Not because... if I didn't do that, I'd get Trippier instead, I think.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Cucurella and Aït-Nouri are locked in. Curtis is asking about second Liverpool attackers. Diaz has been in my team and he hasn't left. I just think I want a bit of that Liverpool game. I think they could absolutely batter you. I think just you've already said you don't care about it. I think, and Diaz is absolutely nailed. He's been in really good form.
Oh yeah, you say that though, Tom.
You say what? What do you not
That
like
he's
there?
absolutely nailed. No, I agree with virtually everything you just said, but it's the absolutely nailed bit that worries me a little bit because
He's played.
you've got
He was benched once in the last 7 games,
yes, but
and they lost that game that he was benched.
yes,
Is
but
Lee in? You go and ask him. There is
he's
no
not.
way Diaz will not
No,
start.
I mean he would say if he was here, he'd say Diaz starts, and I don't think that's a reason not to get him. By the way, I won't put you off getting Luis Diaz. I think of the other options, he's the best one. So Salah, and then Luis Diaz is the next. Definitely, he's the next best because the Gakpo, the Jota thing, like then there's some stuff, isn't there, in and around Darwin starting and
Yeah, they have to pay money or something.
the money they have to pay, and also Darwin is just like not very good. So I think Diaz does get the start, and then it's just who starts with him. So for me, it's like, okay, if you want to double up on the Liverpool attack, do it. And Diaz is the best option to go with alongside Salah. But I don't think that Diaz has been brilliant in FPL lately. Like, I think the eye test gets passed, he gets lots of opportunities, but I don't think he's been.
He's returned in 5 of 6 matches.
But he should have returned a lot more than he has in that time. And I think that's why I find him a bit frustrating whenever I own him in FPL. Like, he never feels like he lives up to the hype of what I am expecting. Maybe I'm just. Maybe my weight of expectation is on him because he's so good. Like, he's such a good player that I always expect more returns than I get out of him. I don't know. At the minute, I'm just going with Salah.
Do you not think?
Because
it's going to be goals, do you not think?
yeah, I do think.
So what's your midfield then? What's your midfield?
Well, Salah and Palmer at the minute. I'm not sure that that's the right thing. So I could easily go Palmer to Diaz. That absolutely could happen. I don't know how I feel about the Palmer thing, to be honest. I've also got a Wobie, and I'm quite happy with him. Like, I feel like I'm almost locked in on having a Wobie, which again feels kind of weird, but I'm not. I haven't got him in.
Diaz.
Well, I haven't got Jimenez, so yeah. I kind of, and I think that Fulham will do really well in that game. So I do want to cover out that Fulham attack, and Iwobi's been in excellent form, so I've got him, and then. I'm just bringing up my team up. And then I've kept Jacob Murphy over Harvey Barnes because of the Leif Davis thing. So because Leif Davis won't be there, that the one-on-ones in theory bode better for Jacob Murphy down that side. So I've kept him. And then I've got Bowen on my bench. And if you get Luis Diaz, you can't bench Luis Diaz. So he can't be in that 5th midfielder slot. So if I get him, then who does he take the place of? Well, it's probably Iwobi or Palmer.
I'd put him over Iwobi any day of the week.
See, I don't know, Tom. I don't think so. Southampton.
Yeah, but it's... Yeah. I mean, look, I can't argue with it. Like, he's got 9 goals and 5 assists this year, but he's so inconsistent. Like, he blanked for, I think, like 7 games in a row. He scored twice and then didn't do anything after that. It's a bit of a gamble, that. But
maybe,
you know, it could be a good punt, and he obviously hauled the other week. So
it's a nice. And I think the thing is that when you wildcard, when you free hit, you can't just go boring and just go like template. You have to get some differentials in there.
But the free hitting is a differential,
and
no, you can't argue Diaz is Luis Diaz is not going to be that highly owned.
No, but why?
Well, because not everyone has a chance to get him this week.
If you're free hitting this week, you do have a chance to get him. And like, okay, let's see how many free hits are active.
Not is but getting annoyed in the chat. Like I said, you battered Forest. You had 4 big chances to Forest 1 and over 2 XG. I'd call that a battering, but you're entitled to your opinion.
So we actually played really well. It was one of our better performances of the season. But the problem we had was that our goalkeeper as much as I love Big Vic, he just decided not. I don't know, just have free clangers. Like they scored. I know one of them eventually got ruled out for offside, but
You also missed a couple of sitters, but
we did.
yeah.
Oh God, yeah, we absolutely did. And we, like I said at the beginning, we just peppered balls everywhere. There are over 500,000 free hits active, so it's not that he can't be highly owned. Tom,
Yeah, but he's better than Iwobi. I'm not sorry. I'm not having this.
would you have him over Palmer?
No, I'm going Palmer.
But that's madness because if that's just your Chelsea blindness.
It's not
because
it's the fact that Palmer is a high upside player.
what? But that's what you're arguing Luis Diaz is.
No, I think Luis Diaz is just a good pick.
Okay. If I was to get Luis Diaz, which I'm not saying I'm not going to, I might still do that and double up on the Liverpool attack. It would be instead of Palmer, not instead of Iwobi.
Sam, I'm not going to argue this anymore, but I don't care how you're trying to sit there saying Iwobi's better than Diaz and you'd rather have Iwobi over Palmer, who's on penalties, like, and one of the most high impact players in the entire game. Like, there's probably 4 players this weekend that could score a hat trick, and Palmer's one of them.
What have you seen from him lately that suggests that he's going to score a hat trick?
His numbers are he's just a good footballer that will no doubt score again. Like
2-4-1-6-0-1-3-2-2-6-2-2. What in that suggests that he's going to get a hat trick?
He got 13, and then I don't know. I just think, but if I told you that Palmer gets a penalty and an assist on the weekend, are you in the faintest bit surprised?
Yeah, with the way that he's been performing lately, and the fact that Everton. So if Everton weren't without
Tarkowski as well.
If Everton weren't without Tarkowski, there's no chance I'd have put Palmer in my team on a free hit. None. Because I think that game ends 0-0. But without Tarkowski, as we saw when Michael Keane came on against Man City, the Everton defence just. It was like, what Everton defence, wasn't it, for the last...
Yeah. Well,
once Tarkowski left. So, that makes me want to invest a bit more in Chelsea. I've got Cucurella in there already. I don't know about Palmer. I'm really not convinced.
Yeah, I can't see us scoring masses of goals, but I also just think, like, we could win 1-0 with the Palmer penalty, and he's got 10 points. Whereas Iwobi is taking long range shots.
I think he might win 1-0, but only because Michael Keane is going to play instead of Tarkowski. I don't think that there is any chance that Chelsea score multiple goals in this game.
I think that's
you're just not performing that way.
But no, I mean, yeah, I've probably 1-0, but we should probably move on anyway. Cause...
Well, in case I upset you anymore.
No, the chat's telling us to move on. There was a good question about stacking a free hit. I think both of our free hits are kind of pretty, like, standard. Like, we're not doubling up on a defence or anything, as far as I'm aware. I'm trying to find this question. It was about, who is it from? But I think he had, like, 2 double defences and then, like, 3 Newcastle attackers or something. Do you like a triple or a double defence this week?
I mean, my general FPL rule is to avoid having the double up because, with the exception of Arsenal, they're normally the one team I make an exception for because they are actually really solid defensively usually. But it upsets me greatly when a clean sheet goes. So I tend to avoid it on the basis that it's just not worth the stress of having that happen. However, I think this week it would be quite easy to go with the double up at Wolves defensively. If Jose Sarr is fit, then I think having Aït-Nouri and Jose Sarr actually makes quite a lot of sense. Like Newcastle, you could do it, but I think the attackers have a lot of value, whether you want to go for a Jacob Murphy or a Harvey Barnes. And then I guess then the other conversation then is around Fulham. And do you double up? Like, do you want to take the risk on Sessegnon and Michael Keane and Harry Wilson coming back? Or do you avoid him and go for just Leno? Or do you just play it safe and go for Robinson on the other side? Like, or do you think actually Fulham do have a habit of conceding a goal here or there, and also Southampton have a habit of scoring a goal here or there as well. So I wouldn't want two Fulham defenders starting either. I don't think there's a team that I would want the double up of defence on this week, apart from Wolves.
I think it's Newcastle, as Nikolai says. They got the best clean sheet odds, and if Jacob Murphy's getting subbed off on 60 minutes every week.
But don't you think that they could... I don't know, the upside of the attack for Newcastle feels great this week.
Yeah, it does, but Murphy does usually come off. I've currently got Barnes, but apparently he wasn't pictured in training on Wednesday. So
You're not worried about Anthony Gordon?
If Barnes is fit, I don't see why he deserves to drop out.
Well, no, he doesn't.
Jason Tyndall said last week Gordon has to be a good teammate while Harvey Barnes is playing well. So
yeah, but the gaffer's back now.
Yeah, this is true. He is. Yeah, maybe I should go Murphy. We're coming up to 40 minutes, so any questions for the last sort of 10, 15? Get your questions in the chat. Drop a like, subscribe as well, and let Sam know that Palmer's better than Iwobi. I can't believe we're having to say this statement.
I just don't understand you, Tom.
Palmer over Iwobi. I didn't think that would be controversial, but anyway.
I think owning Palmer on a free hit is controversial.
What about a triple Newcastle attack from Michael?
Barnes, Murphy, Isak.
Yeah, I like it, to be fair.
See, I like it too, but I think you will miss out on a clean sheet.
But that's the play, though, isn't it? Like, you could easily get more than 6 points.
You could, but then Livramento, Trippier, Shah could easily get more than 6 points. They've all got the potential for some attacking returns, all three of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably won't do it, but it's definitely good. Nothing wrong with it. Harry says, I'm with Sam. What has Palmer done?
Nothing.
Apart from getting nearly 200 points this season.
Yeah, but like, it's not...
Harry's in the chat. Of
course he is.
Quite right.
Yes, but the Chelsea fans together. Here we go. But it's not about this whole season, though, is it, Tom? Like, otherwise, like, if you look at the whole season as a whole, then clearly Palmer... I'm not saying that Palmer is a worse player than Iwobi, am I? I'm saying that for this week, with the fixtures that they have, and the fact that Palmer's in no form, Iwobi's a better pick for this week on a free hit. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I've got both of them at the minute. So actually, my choice isn't between those two. My choice is between Luis Diaz and Palmer, because Iwobi's staying come what may.
Well, we'll see. Unfortunately, you're not here next week, Sam. So I'm on with the Az, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but it would be nice to come back after Palmer's got a brace on Saturday.
Oh, well, I won't be here. I'm sure you'll message me. I'm sure I'll get a WhatsApp from you. And believe me, when he hasn't, you'll get a WhatsApp from me.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Cameron asks, best assistant manager picks. That's a good one. Probably go...
Let me look at the fixtures.
I mean, I suppose who are you not going to triple up on? Slot is pretty safe. Eddie Howe is safe. Pereira against Leicester is pretty safe. And if you want table bonus, I would say Thomas Frank. Actually, no, I'd say Graham Potter against Brighton.
The problem is you're going to triple up on Newcastle. Oh, no, you can't. If you're playing your assistant manager, you're not free hitting. So, yeah, do you go safe or do you go risk? I think if you're assistant managing this week, you have to play the risk, don't you? You have to go for a table bonus team.
So for me, that's Potter or Frank. I think Potter could easily get at least a draw against Brighton without Van Heck. Brighton they haven't won for 7 games.
I would go Frank though, because I think Brentford are more likely to score more. I think they will get something from that game and will score more goals.
Yeah.
Whereas I think West Ham, it will be a draw if they can score goals. Like, the problem is that Brighton actually have the potential to score multiple goals, and I know what you're saying about Van Heck, but
West Ham Brighton are in really poor form.
Yeah, but they're still scoring, and West Ham just aren't scoring enough goals. Like, I could see that game being a draw, but I don't see them. I don't see West Ham scoring more than one. So then, if it's a 1-1 draw, then fine. But if I could see Brighton winning that game 2-1, whereas I genuinely think that the way Brentford are playing, they'll get something against Nottingham Forest because they, unlike Spurs, they do actually finish their chances. And if Nottingham Forest give away that many chances again, it's different because it's a home game and all of that. But if they give away that many chances again, I think Brentford will score multiple goals, and therefore you've got a bit more upside with Frank. So I'd go with him.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Chris James is in the chat. Everyone's favourite boss.
Hello, boss man.
Chris, chuck a question in the chat. We've got about 10 minutes left.
I bet you Chris prefers Iwobi to Cole Palmer.
I think Chris has got his head screwed on. But we'll see.
Just saying.
We have got... Harry is not free. This is not the FPL Harry. Different Harry, but still a good Harry. Not... I'm judging Harry's. Not going free hit. He's got 5 free transfers and needs to replace 6 players. Is a -4 worth it? It depends who you're bringing in. I think you could bring in some decent long-term picks. Like if you brought in Mbumo, Visser, Bowen, and like Cucurella.
8 Nuri.
Yeah, 8
You need
Nuri.
a defender.
You can definitely work it. It might not be as good this week, but you can work it. Like I'd definitely get Mbumo and Visser, and probably would.
Yeah. See, I don't think, and I also don't think that a -4 is a huge issue because, like we've just said, there's like 500,000 free hits. So that means that you, all right, take away the players that aren't playing anymore, but you've still got a fair whack of the game then that are playing through. Now, of those players that are playing through, how many of them are going to have 11? So you basically the judgment you have to make is 10 this week without a -4, leaving your team in better position for game week 35. So if that -4 means you would end up taking out somebody that actually you want for 35, then it's not worth doing. Just go with a player down because you don't want to be taking another hit next week because at that point then by the time they've made those points back up again and then lost them again the following week, it's just not worth it. So I think you have to look at the impact of taking out those, effectively 6 players, and what does that mean for the long term? If you look at those 6 and you think all of them are players I don't want to have back again imminently, as in game week 35 or 36, then do it and take the hit. But if you look at 1 or 2 of them and think, no, actually, I would really like you in my team for 35, then just play through with 10 would be my advice.
Yeah, makes sense. Chris asks the best differential pick for a free hit. Sam, not to get you on the Iwobi thing again, but that's probably your answer.
I really like Iwobi. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Welbeck is a great differential this week.
I like that one as well.
Against West Ham. I also think like some good players are going to be differential. I mean, Sessegnon is going to be a massive differential.
He was my pod differential. Yeah, it was my pod differential this morning.
Chris has already got Welbeck. Unbelievable.
Well, there you are, Chris.
Great minds. But even like another differential, you could double up on Chelsea's defence. Like you could get Sanchez and Cucurella. You could get Leno and Sessegnon. I mean, that's a differential in itself, isn't it?
Yep.
Best captain to take on Salah. It's got to be Isak.
Isak. Yeah. Or Cunha if you want to be really out there.
Yeah. Isak got a hat-trick against Ipswich last time.
Mm-hmm.
A super chat. I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this name. Apologies in advance. It's not that easy when you're live, but Subhoijit asks which one to play from Bowen, Matoma or Robinson, already playing Sessegnon. And then separate question, thoughts on Pickford, but we'll do the bench one first. Bowen, Matoma or Robinson. I definitely wouldn't play Robinson over an attacker to double up on Fulham.
Agreed. So it's a choice between Bowen and Matoma who are playing each other.
Be Bowen for me.
It would be Bowen for me as well.
Consistent, yeah.
Yeah. And thoughts on Pickford?
I can't see why you'd pick him on a free hit.
No, because of the Keane thing.
If you own him and it's a hit to change or a transfer to change, I wouldn't swap him out.
Pickford also does have a habit of just having the odd game where he's just like incredible and he saves everything. It's usually
But we
against
don't
Liverpool,
have loads
to be
of shots
fair.
on target. That's the thing.
No, I know that's you trying to tell me Palmer's good. Like, no, but I think yeah, on a free hit, would I have Pickford? No. If Pickford's your goalkeeper and you're not on a free hit, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's definitely better moves to make there.
Yeah.
The best bench for the free hit, I think, is what you can afford.
You can afford
said
everything.
something interesting, like you've got Bowen and you want Diaz, but you wouldn't bench him. I think you should just get Diaz if you think he's better. Because what if Wood pulls a hamstring?
No, no, I take your point, but I don't. But I think like Bowen seems. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because when I look at my team, if I bring in Luis Diaz to bench, like I don't think he's better than these assets. But if I've got a Liverpool player in my team, it's weird to bench them. Like there's something psychological about
Yeah, especially for
that.
a player like Iwobi.
Yeah, but I think Iwobi's a better pick, which is why I haven't done that. So I've literally just followed with I've got the 5 players that I think are the best picks for this week, and Luis Diaz and Palmer. I'm backwards and forwards on that one.
Yeah, I mean the best bench is what you can afford. If you want some cheap picks, I
don't think you'll need the cheap picks though. But will you need them? I can't believe anyone needs a cheap pick on a free hit this week.
The draft I have now only has 0.1 in the bank because I've got Trent. And I've got Bowen first sub. So
who's your other subs?
A Bagdu.
What?
Trent and Sessegnon or something. No, a Bagdu, Sessegnon and Bowen and Leno.
Where have you spent all your money? Palmer, Salah and Trent?
Diaz. Cucurella. Anyway, let's not get hung up on my team value. That's not...
Well, your team value must not be very good.
No, it's quite good, I think. Yeah, but if you said you got 2 million, you do...
I got 5 million.
Oh, right, okay. Well, you do a Iwobi to Diaz and someone to
Trent.
I don't
want to do a Iwobi to Diaz.
Yeah, but that's how you spend it, I think.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You can have Iwobi, Sam, don't worry.
No,
one
I'm
else
not taking him out.
blank, so...
I think you'll find that a lot of people will enjoy Iwobi's haul.
Yeah.
I've not met anyone else on a free hit that spent that much money. You're unusual.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
No free hit. Diaz or Cliver in for Saka. I think you just get Mbeumo. If you don't own Mbeumo, I think
that's not...
Sorry.
Right. If Az was here, he would say, that's not the question, Tom, because that's the sort of answer I give.
Okay, well, Cliver or Diaz for Saka.
Cliver,
because I don't know, like, you could easily see Gakpo start a couple of times.
Yeah. Including this week.
Not this week for Diaz.
I think, honestly, Cliver till the end of the season feels nice.
Yeah. FPL Harry in the chat telling me how to pronounce Agbadu. Agbadu. Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
It feels like Lee says, not your Lee. Says, feel like Iwobi's had a lucky season. So
that's fine. He can be lucky until the end of this week. I don't care if he's not lucky from game week 35 onwards.
Yeah. Pope and Cucurella or Sanchez and Trippier. Pope and Cucurella for me.
Yeah, me.
I think Cucurella is really, really good this week.
Yep, I do too.
Murphy captain punt against Ben Johnson at left back. Not for the minutes. I don't see why you wouldn't captain Isak. Like, if Murphy just plays 60 odd, doesn't he? So.
Yeah, but he could haul in that time without Leif Davis there.
Is Leif Davis that good of a defender? Like,
I think it changes the way they play. That's the problem.
Well, maybe
they
sit back a bit more.
I don't think they can.
True.
That's like asking Spurs to sit back. It won't go well.
Well, I don't think you've tried, have you?
Well, we don't have the personnel, and nor do Ipswich.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. I suppose not the worst thing, to be fair. Thoughts on Trent from Lee? If you ruled him out, then you just can't be sure.
I've ruled him out because I don't I don't think they clean sheet. We always score, and they always go to sleep and concede one. So I don't think there's a clean sheet. So then you're basing it on attacking returns. Obviously, Trent can get attacking returns. That's clear. Are we absolutely sure he's going to start? I don't think we are. That's why I've ruled him out. I'm probably wrong. He probably does start. And I'm not saying I don't think he's going to. I'm just saying that for me, there's enough doubt. And at the time of the doubt, there's also enough other players that I want to play that means I'm not prepared to risk it. If I was struggling for defenders, I'd risk it on Trent. But I'm not, because I like the 3 I'm playing ahead.
Yeah. Terry asks, Liverpool defender or Cucurella for a free hit? Please answer without Chelsea bias. So we'll give it to Sam.
I'll answer it without a Chelsea bias, and I'd still pick Cucurella. I think Cucurella's got so much upside. Right? Yeah. And I don't think Everton score.
4 goals in 9 home games for Cucurella. Enough said. Last few questions. We'll start wrapping up. Yeah, people saying Leif Davis is rubbish defensively. I agree with that.
But I'm not saying that. Well, of course, it's not. You don't invest in Ipswich because they're good defensively.
No,
what I'm saying
but
is
I think the
him
Murphy
not being
thing
there will
is,
make a difference.
I'm not convinced Murphy's going to have like an easier afternoon.
Oh, I think he might.
Anything else? Not on free hit, best defender for the rest of the season. Already have Gvardiol, Munoz, and 8 Nori. Could be Milenkovic with a couple of good home games.
Hang on, I've got to get the fixture ticker up for this one. I need to look at 35 through 38 as well. And I need to sort it by defence. Let's have a look. Difficulty. Yeah.
This is good audio content.
Yeah, sorry guys. I'm just pondering on like.
Be Forest for me, I think.
Yeah, unless you've already got Sells, and then do you want the double up because they are conceding a lot?
Who's at the top of the ticker?
Forest are. It's Forest, then Ipswich, then Leicester. So okay, then Brentford.
Yeah, there's no Brentford defenders.
But there's no. Then it's Newcastle, and I think he said, didn't he say he's already got one?
No, he didn't.
No, she doesn't mention the Newcastle defence, so get one of them.
Yeah, Forest or Newcastle. Harry says Wood against Jimenez. This is one me and Harry sort of said if Muniz is out, we'd swap Wood to Jimenez yesterday, but it's poor logic, but there's something about me wanting that Thursday coverage. I also kind of think it wouldn't shock me if Fulham only scored once against Southampton. I can just see them being a bit drab. They kind of struggle against poor teams, and they drew 0-0 earlier in the season. I think I'd probably go Wood. I don't know. I mean, I haven't changed it yet, so.
I'm still going Wood. I've got a Wobie, that's enough.
Yeah. And finally, Sessegnon, is he an option? How much do you want him?
I've got him. He's on my bench because I'm playing Leno at the moment until I hear about Jose Sarr. I think he starts Sessegnon this week. So on a free hit, I think he's a fine pick. But longer term, I think Harry Wilson's going to come back. So if you're not free hitting, don't pick him.
Yeah. I'm currently on Pope and Sessegnon, but I could swap it. Do I just go Leno and Trippier? Is it really worth the risk?
I do. The one thing I would say is that I do think Southampton will score because they do score. They don't often blank. So that's the one thing that's putting me off the Leno thing, because at least with Sessegnon, there's upside there with the attacking threat that he's got. Whereas obviously with Leno, if the clean sheet goes, I kind of feel like Southampton aren't going to have loads of shots, so he's not going to rack up save points. So it's going to be 2 or 6 is how it feels with Leno. But the issue I have is that I've just got this thing about Shah, and it's one of those where, when you get a thing about a player, so you're thinking, I can't take him out now, because if I do, I'm going to end up regretting that, which means Pope's a non-option because I'm trebled up on Newcastle already. So what I'd actually really like is some firm word on Jose Sarr. What I might end up doing is doing Jose Sarr and having Kepa as my backup goalkeeper. And then if Jose Sarr doesn't play, he's not going to come on. So then Kepa can just come off my bench.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Sounds good. We will wrap things up there. We've been going an hour. Had some good debate. Always good to have a different voice. I mean, it's better than everyone agreeing all the time.
Yeah, every week it's going to be slightly different at this point, isn't it? Like I'm as on holiday this week. I'm away next week, so they'll get to hear you two arguing it out next week.
But I'll get Az's view on Iwobi and everything.
Well, they can't ask him next week because obviously when Iwobi's got a hat trick, and then Az is going to go, well, clearly Sam's always right.
Yeah, we'll see.
If he blanks, then by the time I'm next here, no one will remember, and Az will be back, so it'll all be fine. And if Palmer blanks, I'll get Az to give you a right old difficult time of it.
Yeah, careful. Right. Let's wrap things there. If you're listening on the podcast, do give us a good review and turn on your automatic downloads. That's a good point. Sorry, I just seen the chat. Fulham are 17th in the league for clean sheets. So.
Yeah, they don't keep clean sheets. No. So that's what puts me off Leno. Like, I've put Leno in, but mostly because I want Sarr and I needed a bit of a goalkeeper placeholder and it's a good fixture. But Southampton, they score as well. They're not Leicester. They do score goals.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Drop a like on the video. Have a good Gameweek 34. My light's just fallen over. Best of luck on the free hit. Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you very much, Tom. I will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Cheers, everybody. Have